Good morning, everybody out there in beautiful Facebook land. It is Tuesday, and yeah, it's Tuesday, and it's a great day. I slept really good, um, and even though my husband was home in the afternoon, and I know he needed to just chill out, and so I was upstairs, like on my bed, just chilling out, and so I wasn't so active. Not that I'm totally active, anyways, but I did feel really heavy. And I know there's just the rest of that stuff coming out. So um, it's like releasing the demons. And I had weird ass dreams, like weird ass fucking dreams. And even some of the dreams are from the YouTube because I'm watching YouTube, but I don't remember ever seeing some of the stars that have passed away, and they were in my dreams. Like I dreamt like I was hanging out with Tony Creed or Tony Creed, whatever his name is, that passed away. Right now, John and I are going back and forth about the word legendary and legend. Yeah, it's funny. See, so I'm willing to, this is the thing, I'm willing to sharpen swords with John. I'm willing to go like toe to toe with John. Not that we're like doing anything crazy, but he'll say something that I'll be like, okay, I know I use that word or use something, and I'll defend it and say something back, but like defending where I'm coming from, but not really, but really. And me, and same thing. When I say something on my Facebook, and he wants to say, okay, well, I'm not ready for this, and da da da. It's like he has to defend his position, and that's great, and that's it. That's as far as it goes. We don't do anything more than that, and we do really try to see each other's perspective, and that is a great mental type of exchange when it's like we do definitely come from different perspectives, different countries, even and different backgrounds, but there is definitely a shared ideology, a shared understanding that we have been duped and had a spell put on us. And now we're just picking apart the spells, and it's freaking insane trying to do that. And so it's great because he makes me think about what I say, and I make him think about what he says and does, and then we just prepare each other for whatever comes out there, and that's great. That's a great thing to have with somebody if you can. Um, because I'll tell you, when you get into that kind of mental discourse with people, and you're sharpening each other's intellectual swords, let me tell you, worlds open up, and you're open to even re-examining your belief systems and re-examining everything. It's really great. So that's my perspective on that. And so I'm gonna tell them I'm on live now. I'm on live now. I mentioned your name. Ha 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 ha. I mentioned your name. Okay, so there's that. All right. Okay, so all right. So this everyday thing of learning, I'll tell you, this is what I mean by learning things every day. And this is like a forcing function. When I get used to learning in front of people, no different than going to college. You learn in front of your professor, you learn in front of your classmates, your peers. You make mistakes, you get A's, you get F's, you get C's, you get D's. Instead of one teacher grading you, you have the whole world giving you a fucking grade, okay? And it's all relative to their perspective. And so instead of a professor giving you a grade in school because they want you to regurgitate a specific party line, now you're getting everybody out there in the world that's watching your shit and giving you a grade based upon what they think. And then some people are bold enough to give me their perspective. Sometimes it's not really nice. And so then that offers then you to re-examine, or me to re-examine, or look at how I say things, look at what I'm missing in my speech or missing in my research, to then factor in their concerns and their points of view. And so that's why I spent a lot of time entertaining the trolls for many years, because even though I didn't want to hear what they had to say, I wanted to hear what they had to say. Even though it tortured the fuck out of me, I needed to be tortured for that moment in time until I figured out how I was going to say stuff. And then I didn't have to be tortured anymore by the trolls, because I knew how to say stuff, and I knew that once I figured everything out, the ball was in their court. They're either going to figure it out or not. It's not up to me to convert them. They have to convert themselves. Just because they don't get it or say they don't get it doesn't mean it's my responsibility to make them get it, because I'm not their teacher. I'm not their doctor. I'm not their lawyer. I'm not their mom or their dad. I'm not anything in them. They have to figure out how to learn it themselves, because all the information I get is off the internet, or they can keep resisting me and then stay locked in their position. And so that's essentially what's going on is when you are in resistance to any information, you're going to stay locked in your position until the end of days. So resistance is futile because you ain't going to change. I ain't going to change. So then it's just an exercise of futility. And it took me 7 years to figure that out. But again, I needed to go through that situation of being locked into my position, wanting to prove my position even more so. And they're going to prove their position even more so. And so if I'm all about life and they're all about death, then they'll keep proving that they should die someday, and they'll keep doing that. And I'm going to keep living, and I'm going to prove, well, why life can be supported by food and feeling pain and release and understanding the bigger picture. And so I will then be entrenched and stay in my jail of life while they go and reinforce the jail of death in their world. And that's essentially what was going on. And so even me resisting people saying that you should die someday then reinforced why I'm doing what I'm doing, which is promoting life and proving it. And not only justifying it, but giving you the evidence that milk is life, food is life, and then all the natural antibiotics and pharmaceuticals, which aren't specifically totally horrible, but everything has a place, but it's how much are you using and why? What's your intention? And then also bring it to fertilization. See, fertilization is great on some level, right? A little bit of fertilization causes then the dying and reproduction, which is the small evolution. Those are the micronutrients, like when you fertilize your grass. Okay? But then you can be over fertilized, and then you have so many micronutrients that it's too much for that soil to handle. And then you have to dilute it with water. So agriculturally, when people are over fertilizing their plants, and there's some indicator shows it's over fertilized, then you have to put holes in the soil and leach out that fertilization, that nitrous oxide, all right, and all the different minerals that go into that fertilization. And you have to water the plant and let the water run out and leach out the excess nutrients. And so that's essentially what's going on right now in humans and in the world. Humans have been fertilized, yes, because then not only are you evolving slowly, but then you're also dropping babies. That's over fertilization. When you have so many antibiotics, that is that positive negative. Now, we had to go through that process of ripping apart words and taking them literally. Right now, people in the other world out there are taking the words literally, which that's what I did. Antibiotics. But remember, antibiotics, probiotics, it's a positive and negative. It's a balance. You got to have some spices, not a lot. You got to have some spices in your food, but not too much and not too little, because that promotes fertilization or the dying reproducing of your microcells so you can evolve and grow and release. And so you're ever adapting to a changing conditions called your environment. But when you become over-fertilized, but why would you call it over-fertilized? Because I'm going to tell you, everything is nutrients out there. It's just how many nutrients are you bringing into your body? How many nutrients are you using to attack things? Because you can even use food as medicine, which then causes an excessive fertilization, which then causes a senescence, a deterioration. And then that causes reproduction or sexual reproduction and or potential death of the parent. Potentially keeping that kid alive for a certain amount of time until that kid takes himself out because of what their parents taught them. And so I'll tell you, it's a process. And I'm watching other groups rip apart the words like antibiotic, and probiotic, anti-life, pro-life. But again, you can't take that literally and think that everything antibiotic, because then you can go look at the holistic world and they're promoting all the natural antibiotics to such an extent that they're fertilizing themselves because it's all natural, right? Versus pharmaceutical, that's like all synthetic. But pharmaceuticals come from the natural world, the plant world. And then it's just more processing and higher degrees of influence. But even the chemtrails world and even the holistic world are over-fertilizing themselves in reaction to the fertilization of the skies, fertilizing biodiversity. And you have to understand that when you're fertilizing the things in your body, you're making them bigger. And when you have a closed immune system, a closed system, that's why you get the 50 feet long tapeworms and all those different nematodes that are getting bigger and bigger with the person. See, that's why I said yesterday that anyone that demonizes parasites, you don't understand the J world. And you know that people in the religious world, because they don't eat pork because they say it's dirty, people in the holistic world that have been scared away from parasites. Parasites aren't bad. You are a parasite. You are 69 trillion microbes. Those microbes look like microscopic earthworms. They look like microscopic insects, tardigrades. Okay, you're 69 trillion microbes. 69 trillion microbes that have so many different colony-forming units of so much diversity that looks like everything that's in your soil, everything that's in animals, everything that's in the plants, on top of the plants, inside the plants, everything that's in the sea. You are 69 trillion of everything that's out there in your environment. And there's an order to it. You have an infrastructure, okay? And so when your body is not allowed to release at the level that it needs to, and you're gaining pressure and you're fertilizing. What do I mean by fertilizing? Okay, so you're supposed to eat. So you're eating, that's like a fertilization on some level. But then when you feel stuff, you don't want to feel the release. Well, then people take drugs. They take spices as a remedy against their body's immune system. They take all the different natural remedies. They even starve themselves. But they also do a lot of natural remedies. They do a lot of detoxes. That's a fertilization because they're trying to get rid of stuff. Now, what you're doing is you're making the things inside of you stronger and bigger. You might release stuff. The body might purge out some stuff, but there's still going to be a few of them around that are going to figure out a strategy to avoid and or become stronger from that fertilization, that detox, that antibiotic, that natural remedy that you use. Just like right now, there's going to be a flood, like with this whole climate change and all the nitrous oxide from all the element, the particle spreaders, the fertilizers, the plain fertilizers. Some people are not going to survive this, obviously. Okay. And some people are going to get stronger from this particle spreading, this climate change, the fertilization of the planet. Just like in your body, when you're fertilizing yourself with all those antibiotics and detoxes and remedies and ivermectins and everything else that's under the sun, and you're eating, okay? And you're not really releasing because you don't want to feel the release, you hate feeling pain, you don't like pooping a lot, then you're making the things inside of you stronger and bigger. And they're going to work against you and cause you to self-implode or cannibalize the shit out of you. That is what's going on right now. That is all physics. Physics is understanding the external and the internal, the external, the internal, external, internal. And so you have to understand that there's an internal immune system. Then you have the external immune system, which is your environment. And it is controlled by somebody else. But you control everything in here, but you cannot control really outside of your sphere of influence. You can't control the skies. You can't control anything, even down the street. You can only control your immediate environment. Even then, that's always subject to be determined if you have that much control over even your surroundings. Just depends on who you bring into your life and how much influence they have. But you have control over your body, mind, and spirit. Your body, mind, and spirit. But if you don't, and you're giving yourself away to a homeopathic, somebody on Facebook, allopathic, a naturopathic, a doctor, a nurse, a surgeon, then again, all bets are off. That's not even again. Then somebody has control over your immune system, control over everything. And so then, okay, so your internal immune system could be under your direct control if you understand it. If you don't understand it, you'll give it away and then you'll blame. All right. And so you got to realize that with what's going on, you're in a controlled environment that somebody else controls, and then you control this. But if you don't control this, not really, then you're taking cues from somebody out there telling you when to sprinkle stuff on you and eat this and not eat that and all that. Then that's where the train's left the station. There's no way you're gonna be able to control the inside or your outside, and then that's where people start blaming and they become an activist and look for social change. But they haven't even changed themselves or even have control over themselves because they're asking people what they should do for their symptoms on Facebook. They're asking their doctor, their nurse, a homeopathic, allopathic, and herbalist what to do for symptoms. They have zero control over their body, mind, and spirit, and they're blaming, and they're looking for social change, and yet they haven't even figured out how to fucking control their own immediate surroundings, even their own fucking body. And they want everyone else around them to change? No, that's not gonna fucking happen. Now you're in that resistance where you will resist yourself out of existence. And so activists want everyone else to change but themselves. And they also blame. What if everyone changed themselves and wrote about it? Oh my God. Imagine that. If they changed themselves, be like, hey, this is what I did. This is what I did. Look how amazing. And so, yeah, and wrote about it. And so they stopped blaming and they changed themselves. Then you can see exactly what people's lifestyles are, what the outcome is going to be, and how long it might take for them to do it. And we'll see. And so what if everyone changed themselves, wrote about it? So what is an activist? This is the noun. A person who campaigns to bring about political or social change. Activists have been calling for change. A campaigner, a reformer, a demonstrator, a champion, an advocate, a promoter, a crusader, a fighter, a battler, a militant, a zealot, oh my God, a protester, radical, see, radicalization, extremist, activists or extremists, niche roots, and then adjective, campaigning to bring about political or social change. Activist groups around the world are organizing solidarity events. So what is social? I have to know what social is, so you understand what this means. Relative to society or its organization, alcoholism is recognized as a major social problem. Similar, communal, community, community-based, collective, group, general, popular, civil, civic, public, societal, endemic, pandemic. Opposite is individual. The second definition, needing companionship and therefore best suited to living in communities. We are social beings as well as individuals. And then an informal social gathering, especially organized by the members of a particular club or group. Church social media sites, applications or accounts. Follow all of our socials for the last updates. Okay? And so you see then when someone says, I want social change, and they're an extremist or radical, going into civil rights, they're wanting everyone around them to change their view about them. But they don't want to change themselves and figure out what was it about them that caused people to think a certain way. Okay? And so that's all of America. That's the last greatest experiment, is that we have politics. It's all about, it's the Democrats or the Republicans' fault. It's somebody's fault over there. It's this fault or that fault. And yeah, on some level, the government has a lot to do with why we are all chaotic and crazy. And also lack of education, lack of pursuing knowledge and evolving from it. But yeah, and we haven't brought people to a higher level, or we tried to, but people are resistant because of their social groups and how entrenched and unevolving they can be. And so you can't force change on people. So then, yeah. So anyway, so activism in all forms, politics, religion, and scientific activism, is by everyone else changing to accommodate them. So when everyone's looking at everyone to change, and no one's going to fucking change. They're going to change if they want to. You can't make them. Then it's chaos, and it's called resistance. When you have resistance, you have an impasse. And so then there is no change in the people, really. Then the government can go and implement change when they want to, when they watch everyone at each other's throats. Good day, John. And they're resisting each other. Hey, Tanya. I see Tanya too. And so we have two people that are resisting each other, trying to convert each other. And then there's no evolution, there's no progress, there's nothing. It's just straight up fighting. And so look at the activists out there. They're resisting what's going on. They're not changing. They're doing what I'm doing now. They're picking apart the words and saying, look at anti-antibiotic. Okay, yeah, antibiotic, anti-life. But you're supposed to have that balance of pro-life, because there is the dying and reproducing at the micro level that you don't even feel unless there is a major instability. And so you have to have life and death happen at the micro level and even at the macro level, because you can't have too much life because it will cause all out extinction, not enough life, complete extinction. And so antibiotics are not horrible, but it's how it's being used. Then why are they called antibiotic? Then just call it food. But they call it antibiotic because it is in reaction to life in your body that's growing, because you don't have a proper release. And so that's the holistic world. But right now you're seeing those in the chemtrails world not even acknowledge the plant-based therapies as antibiotic. Okay. And so that's interesting, watching that evolution happen right now. I mean, I just saw it in the chemtrails group. Hey, Tanya. Okay. And so they're going to go through what we've gone through. So even though people are slowly evolving, some will stay stuck in the words of antibiotic, probiotic. And they'll take on so many probiotics that it will then cause cancer or other diseases and cause so much life that then they're like, oh my God, this is so horrible. And then blame it on something else, not the probiotic, because they think that the probiotic is great. I mean, it is, but you still have to balance it out with salt, release, but then not so much antibiotic. But they'll use antibiotics in reaction to how that probiotic caused the life in their body. Because even though the J juice is probiotic and it's in salt, that's more of a release or a curative effect, which traps the torture inside of you. But when you're doing so many probiotics like kombucha, like apple cider vinegar, like all these fermentation, like Activia, kefir. So you're doing so much probiotics that also could cause so much life if you don't have a proper release process, or you take so much probiotics and it's feeding the demons that are cannibalizing you. So that's the thing, is that you have to understand there's a balance to all this, and we can't take everything totally literally or lean one side to the other. Understand the need for both, but to what level, to what extent, to what degree. And that is a hard concept because it's abstract. To what degree do you understand death and life? And do you have to die? Okay. And so I saw somebody mention something on their Facebook going like, it must be nice to know that I have people that know everything on my Facebook. And I read that going like, oh, he spoke to me. Oh, he absolutely spoke. Not literally. He probably didn't speak to me, because there's probably people out there that think they know everything in the religious world, in the science world, in the politics world. And I know everything. You know how I know everything? Because I'm interested in everything. I read about it and I form my opinion or my educated guess about something, or my theory or my speculation about something, and I'll form something. I'll form some kind of response to whatever out there that I don't know. And so it means I know everything, because so now I have a foundation of experience around something that I didn't know before. And so when I get in more information or new information, then that will evolve. Okay? And so people that don't understand that, because they're like, well, this is one way only, that's it. It's Jesus Christ and Satan, and that's it, nothing else. Or it's Yahweh and Satan, and that's it, nothing else. It's only the word of God, and he is the omnipotent, omnipresent, whatever, and that is being pounded into everyone's heads around them that's willing to watch their video, their Facebook. And they can't say anything else but that. Or they say the Dalai Lama is saying that somebody in the West, a woman in the West, is going to change the world. And they're like, no, don't women of the West don't fall into that. What? 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 Uh, I understand male worship on some level, but let's not take it to the extreme. I'm not a feminist, and I'm not an anti-male, and I'm not a pro-male. I'm not anti-woman or pro-woman. I'm just people. I might be a female. It doesn't mean that that's who's going to run the fucking world. People run the world, and they happen to have a name called a male or a female. But even that is a social construct. When someone says, "Don't let your kid choose their gender," God is the one that chose a gender. And I'm like, oh shit, here we go. And I'm like, you know what? You are your own God. If a child wants to choose their gender, let them fucking choose it. Do you think they're being programmed by the parents? Who fucking cares? If they want to choose, because we're being given all these different hormonal feelings. We've been given a social construct around it at a young age and even at an older age. They have to come from some platform. It might fucking change 5 years from now, but let them be what they want to be today. God is you. You are the God. So, and essentially, they're actually speaking the right way that God will choose what gender because that child is a God in their world. They're being given a choice to choose whatever the fuck they want. Okay? And so we're recognizing the original social constructs that we came from. I'm not saying that I'm trying to promote anything to anyone. You do what you got to do with your kid. If you want to not expose them to stuff, that's fine. Let people do what they want to do. But if you are protective of your kid for whatever, then protect your child. Okay? No one's forcing that on you. But if you put them in a public school and that's going to be introduced, then you really have nothing to say. And if you choose to homeschool, fine. But what are you producing in homeschool? Are you going to produce a tolerant child that's been exposed to diversity? Or you're going to homogenize the shit out of that child so when they go out in the world and they get exposed to things that they've never seen before, are they going to be deadly? Are they going to destroy things they don't even know or never been exposed to? That's the dichotomy. That's the danger of a parent not understanding that there's got to be at some point some kind of introduction to something diverse, because you can't control the world out there, and they're going to have to compete in a world of diversity. They're going to have to work with transgenders. They're going to have to work with people who have whatever. How appropriate do they expose their lifestyles? No different than a male and a female exposing their behind bedroom door, closed doors. Yeah, I don't want to see porn, and even straight people, okay? Not much as seeing porn between gay and LGBT. I don't need to see what happens behind closed doors. Neither do kids. They don't need to see that. But if a dude happens to wear eyelashes and a dress and a wig, okay, fuck, who cares? I mean, to me, it's interesting because it's like different. Why is it so different? Because we were raised back in the 80s, in the 70s. That was barely even like part of the landscape. It was being introduced. I mean, they knew about the LGBTQ even back in the 1950s, but it was hidden behind beards. Okay, what were beards when women were wives of men that were gay, but they were gay, but they had to put out an image that they were straight because the rest of society was under a programming of the nuclear family. But even Hollywood knew that was part of that was going to come out eventually. Okay? And so anyways, when you know everything, it means you explored everything. It means you explored everything that was worth exploring, and you know it all. Those who pride themselves in knowing nothing or proving that ignorance is bliss are proving that ignorance is bliss, and they can still be proud of it. You see, there's something for everyone, and I'm laughing. Everything is relative. Those that hate on the know-it-alls, don't be jealous because I'm interested in the world and you're not. No one likes a know-it-all. I guess if that's not your goal, who gives a fuck? I don't care if you like me or not. At this point, I say so much stuff that at this point, some people I don't want not to like me. I would rather them understand that I'm just trying to open up some eyes here and I'm going to say what I say. But I like you as a person. I think you're fucking awesome. You're totally cool. I'll fight for your friendship on some level. It doesn't mean I'm going to be begging, but some people, I just like their presence. They have a passion. There's something about them that is cool, okay? And that I can get with. And they don't cross boundaries. They're respectful. And I like that. And I don't want to lose that because that's hard to find. People who you may not totally agree with all the time, but they're fucking respectful. and they're a good addition to just whatever's going on in this world. And so you'll fight for that because they are that way. And so, but there's some people, I'm not going to bat an eye if I lose friends because of what I say. But other people, I don't want to lose them as a friend because I respect them. And so that should mean something to them and to whoever out there. Okay? So my goal is not to be like, but to develop my perception and research and evolution around everything I come in contact with. I don't pride myself in ignorance with anything. Okay, so people say the wise people know nothing. People say, these are all people that like to know nothing, don't want to research anything. So people say the wisest people know nothing. I laugh at that. Wisdom does not come from ignorance. Wisdom comes from evolution, and you must have something to come from, a platform to evolve. If you don't know anything, there's nothing to evolve from. And so that's what my mom said, that, well, we'll give her religion like Judaism. Well, obviously, political thought process like Democrat. And then she'll either rebel, like that's what she's saying. That's how she was casting spells on me. I'll either rebel against Judaism and go into something like Christianity or Mormon or something else, or Buddhism, or I'll assimilate and become Jewish. That was how she positioned my world. Well, I evolved it beyond even that. Okay. So you got to be given something to evolve. So whatever programming you were given as a kid, even as a young kid and adult, you have the chance to evolve your position if you so choose. You don't have to, but you have the chance to. If you choose not to, then I hope you survive the crazy changes that are going on. And so there you go, Einstein, chew on that. Wisdom comes from evolution, and you must have something to come from to evolve. And if you don't know anything, there's nothing to evolve from. So when you look at creationism versus evolution, now you see what's going on with the creationists and them, the whole dying and reproducing and worshiping men as the patriarch, worshiping the nuclear family and the male-female relationship. Okay, what people do behind closed doors is completely irrelevant. But if anyone finds comfort in a person, whoever it is, okay, fine. They find someone they can align with and they have some kind of simpatico. And there's a lot of broskies out there. There's a lot of brotherly love out there. What do you call it when we mean brotherly love? There's a lot of bromances. There are men that don't want a girlfriend at all or a wife, but they have their male friends. You can call it a bromance. That's sexualizing their relationship, and you have no business sexualizing anyone's relationship. What people do behind closed doors is none of anyone's business. If you choose to advertise your sexual life, then that's on you. We don't need to see it all the time. I don't need to see it all the time. But if you find someone that you can connect with, good for you. If you have broskies that you hang out with, good for fucking you. That's awesome. Okay? And so, anyways, yeah, so creationist versus evolutionist, that's literally an actual dichotomy. But we have subverted evolution, turned into creationism, because that's how the system is able to control the population and put information out there to evolve from. But if you can't evolve, then you'll end up like a creationist, dying and reproducing at the macro level and producing children on the way out the door. So we even have evolutionists who are actual creationists. That's what's the kicker. They wouldn't call themselves that because, I'm a scientist. No, you're a creationist because you're about dying and reproducing, creating something, and then dying. When you create something, it's already implied. You create because it comes from nothing and it goes into nothing. You really can't create from nothing, really. Evolution comes from something. Creationist comes from nothing. It's just magically appeared and then magically disappeared. Okay? And energy cannot be created or destroyed. That's science. That's physics. But when everything's all magical and there's a magical person that you're worshiping, giving you your whole infrastructure, or a magical entity, then it's creationism. So even the Hebrews can be creationists. Because again, it's about worshiping some entity that they can't even see. Giving power to something out there. giving away their power to somebody out there, giving credibility to somebody out there, praising somebody. Okay? So, you want to be a true evolutionist? There's no religion at all. Not even the star seeds. And you're like, why is that? Because you're still giving, because you're still worshiping something that's beyond you. I know the wind blows. I don't worship the wind. The wind blows. It brings in particle acceleration, and it blows the trees. It blows things around. But I know it's part of a physics. It's part of so much stuff, and I can't even see where that wind originated from. We see the effects on the jet stream, but we also know we're in some kind of universe that humans figured out a way to control. Was it ever organic? If we wanted to use that dichotomy, organic versus synthetic. Synthetic is something programmed to contrive. Organic is like natural, but what the hell is that? See, that is something that we don't know anything when it comes to where everything began. We were given stories. Yeah, we can go and dig shit up. We can go look and stuff. But remember mud floods, right? Remember the mud floods happened in the 1800s, 1700s? You could have so much strata of geological stuff happen that could look like thousands and thousands of years, I guess. And you could have civilizations that go through an evolution. I guess thousands of years, yeah. But even then, how do we know we haven't done this before? And where it didn't come from nothing. It came from something, but where the fuck it came from, we don't know. And so this is where the whole thing with time, and I'll go into that a little bit later about time. Hold on a second. Okay. Because when you think about immortality, and you think about you staying like not a day old, like I was watching Manifest on Netflix. That's why I was thinking about time travel and stuff. And I'm thinking about Manifest, the people that came off the plane that were gone for 5 years, but to them it was like, a few hours. And they came back to a world where everyone was 5 years older, but they weren't. They stayed the same. And I'm thinking like, okay, if I stay the same and I'm like, which I am, I'm 49, I know it's 49 years old, but that's just a number, right? But telemerically, I'm probably about 40 something years old, give or take, telemerically, telomeres. So I'm watching people around me go through time. I'm watching them go from a baby and they're growing up to be a teenager, a young adult, a middle-aged person, and then elderly. So it's like watching the sun go from this side of the sky all the way to this side of the sky. Watching the stars from this perspective, like from here on Earth, like watching the sky when the Earth is rotating, whatever, and watching the sky move across, right? So when you're watching one person go from being a baby all the way to a middle-aged elderly person who is deteriorating, you're like watching time. You're not traveling in time. You're watching time fucking travel. Okay? You're watching time travel. That's watching creationism. This is created and then it was destroyed on this end. And now here I am. I'm evolutionary, right? Because I can watch the future turn into the past. Watching the future turn into the past. Why is that called evolution? Because I'm watching, but why? Because I'm evolving. Because the future and the future turning to the past, there's a lot of changes that happen. And you have to be the one to adapt to those changes. If you cannot adapt to the changes of the future turning to the past over and over and over again, then you're part of the creationists that are just here to be a disposable worker to build civilizations. And you're not here to stay and evolve with watching the future turn into the past, the future turn into the past. And you are watching time travel. I don't want to be a time traveler. Because that's what people who are dying, they're time travelers. They travel in time. They're coming in one place and they're leaving one place. Will they ever come back again? Who the fuck knows? We don't know what happens over there. We have an idea. They walk, we're dead walk among us. We hear about that. But I don't want to be a time traveler. I want to watch time travel because I want to stay here on this earth, observe. Like what Einstein said, everything is relative. That's the space-time continuum, where you have a solitary, singular, and there's a whole formula with like what quadratic manifolds. I don't have all the verbiage, but it is all relative to the perspective of that one figure who is watching 4 different time things. and so when you think about that, that's like special relativity, that's theory relativity, that's energy, that's your perspective from a child's perspective, as a young adult, baby, whatever, as an adult, and your perspectives will change as you gain information and lose information, and even where you stand relative to what is going on, you'll have a different perspective. Okay? And so everything is relative. So when you're sitting here like myself, who's 49 years old, telemerically probably 40 years old, and I'm watching people around me die and reproduce, watching the future turn into the past, the future in the past, the future in the past, watching the sun go this way and this way and this way like a clock. Okay? Then now you're seeing what's going on. And so there's a lot of math formulas and physics formulas and astrophysics formulas that talk about that talk about structural engineering. Like calculus is about structural engineering. How do you have a structure withstand the evolution and the changes and the geological constructs of that society, like San Francisco, which is highly active for all the earthquakes? Okay, how do you make structurally sound buildings, and how do you make structurally sound people? How are they going to evolve in a changing society? How do you make them stronger? How do you reinforce buildings to be stronger? How do you reinforce humans to be stronger? And then it's like the fertilization. But you also have to learn how to release and gain knowledge and gain substance. And it's a lot of factors. And you have to be able to weather the economic storms in your community. Know where to go, where not to go. Know what to eat, what not to eat. What do you mean, what not to eat? Well, it just depends. Like how you're not going to eat non-FDA approved foods, right? Everything in the food market is all FDA approved. Nothing is fucking poison. Nothing is toxic. It's only toxic if you have intolerance. Well, then it means it's toxic. Well, then that's not the food's fault. That food is only toxic to you because you have intolerances, because you have subpar systems that are not working up to the level that it needs to be able to evolve and adapt. Then you're part of the creationist world, the dying and reproducing, the disposable workforce. You can transition from that, but then remember, you'd have to question your religion. So you have a lot of right-wing religions, right-wing Christians that are all about creationism and that are heavily in the medical system, have gotten so many medical procedures, and then they're entrenched in their belief around society and the constructs of gender and sexuality and the family and children and oh God, yeah. And so then that they came from a workforce that was developed for a reason, a disposable workforce, and they've chosen that. And what can you say? You can't convert them into evolution, because that's not the religion. Okay, anyone in religion is not about really evolution. You think about it. They say they are, but not really. Because religion in itself is saying that there's death and reproduction, and you go somewhere off to heaven or hell, or to some other place where Jesus or whoever else is saying it's going to be better than here. That's religion. Absolution. And I'm not trying to insult anyone. If it's insulting, then get off my Facebook page, because I will insult you. Not because I want to, because this is evolution. Morbidly obese, and obesity is over-fertilization. You have way too much growth, more than you can handle and manage at any given moment at some point. You must understand how to use your holes to release the demons. When you're so skinny, you are over-fertilized and malnourished. I had a dream about my sister sending me Taco Bell food through the mail. I don't know why. I just had that dream. It's so weird. And so when you're so skinny, you are under or over-fertilized and malnourished. Skinny with over-fertilization means that you're giving food to the colonies inside of you, mitigating your ability to retain pressure. Okay? Those demons inside taking away your ability to retain pressure, or you have programmed your immune system to release more than retain. So people can be keeping programming inside that is causing them to lose the ability to retain the pressure, like the fat and the collagen, so they can have some substance. They have things inside of them, the programming inside of them that's causing them to deteriorate. The food allergies and even keeping certain hormones turned on or turning off certain hormones. So when people say that, oh yeah, the system has figured out how to turn off the anxiety hormone, I'm like, holy shit, it's on for a reason. And if it's staying on and there's no reason for it to be on, how the fuck do you know? Why don't you go and recalibrate, release some demons to see which side of why that anxiety hormone has been turned on a continuous stream of anxiety. But to go and have biotech go in and turn off the anxiety hormone turns off your indicators that something is going on and to change the way you do shit. So when you have biotech turning off all your different indicators, you're just like, oh yeah, everything's fucking great when it's not. And then it's a diet suddenly. It's okay, see you later. Like you turned off all the lights on your dashboard that tell you that you're low on oil, low on gas, low on oil or air pressure in your tires, low on all these things. That's what you're essentially doing is that you're allowing the system turn off your fucking dashboard. So when you're driving and you think everything's great because no lights are coming on, all of a sudden you're out of gas. You are now broke down in the middle of the fucking desert and you will die in the desert because you had biotech come in and turn off all your lights on your dashboard, all your indicators. Now that's a great way to go out, right? When you least expect it, right? Well, that's what people want. They don't want to see the indicators. They don't want to know when they're going to die. They just want to fucking die. That's actually what biotech is doing. Saying, okay, you don't want to know when you're going to die. You don't want to feel the pain of potential death. We'll turn off everything that would tell you that you're going to pass away if you don't change. And so everything is great until it's not. Because you're taking your pills, your powders, your supplements, your detoxes, all your different therapies, all your herbals and cannabis, so you don't feel shit until then it's too late. Either you die suddenly or then the body wants to desperately live and there's so much pain that even death is welcome. That's what's crazy. All right, so it's like paying somebody to sink your boat. You're paying a demon to bore holes in your body. When you already have the holes, you just got to learn how to use them, right? Oh, geez Christ. Both ends of the spectrum, you won't survive a very evolutionary environment such as this. Right now, the world is being fertilized to strengthen the human population and biodiversity. When people don't want to change, harm is all relative. So I saw that article that John was commenting on. And IFL Science always periodically puts out that article about conspiracy theorists want to be like different. They want attention. Well, I would say this. The reason why I was a conspiracy theorist at one point is because I knew something was going on. I knew something was amiss, something was not right, even with myself, because I was different than everybody else. I just had to figure out what do I blame it on, right? And so something was harming us relative to the background that I came from. Most people in my world were under the influence of drugs or operations, and I wasn't under the influence of drugs or operations or alcoholism or anything. So I was feeling everything. And so when I'm feeling everything, I'm thinking something is harming me, when actually I was evolving, and they were in danger because they weren't feeling anything. They were not feeling stuff. And if they did, they had it surgically taken out, or they had it under the influence of drugs. They were under a cure. Okay? And so then I became a conspiracy theorist because I feel everything. You know, I had the PMS. I couldn't hold down a job longer than a certain amount of time because I had to give time for my fucking PMS. And so then I had to go and find something to blame. So then Alex Jones' world came in, and I fell into the conspiracy world of where, oh my God, the cabal, which, okay, I understand. But they're trying to change things, and people don't want to change. But then I made correlation equals causation, that my PMS had everything to do with certain things. And it may have not, but it also there's responsibility on my end that I had to deal with, and I discovered. But yeah, when people don't want to change, harm is all relative. So when you're saying this is a conspiracy, it's saying that there's some nefarious plot that is going to harm people and do something illegally. Okay. Well, yeah. when people don't want to change and someone is forcing change, they will call it harm and they will resist it. That's what's going on right now. A lot of it with the creationists, a lot of it with the right-wing people. I'm not saying I'm left-wing, I'm not even, because even communism can be about giving away your power and blaming everyone. And capitalism is capitalizing on somebody else's situation that you haven't developed yourself. So communism, capitalism are actually the same type of thing. It's all about somebody else, capitalizing somebody else or blaming somebody else for the good of the community, but not for the good of yourself, because remember, you're not yourself in a communism. And I'm not saying you're all about yourself in capitalism, but you are exploiting somebody else all the time for your own personal gain. And so are those optimal to be in any extreme side of it? Fuck no. That's slavery when you're capitalizing on somebody else's situation. And then and then that's what happens in Hollywood, is that Britney Spears, she was capitalized on her situation. They kept antagonizing her and making her do work, all this stuff so they can capitalize on her situation. What do we do work? Making her so popular and programmed to dance and dance and sing and be this icon for girls for so many years. And then finally, when her programming starts breaking down, she can't stop. She has to keep dancing. And she does. Look all over the Facebook reels. And so people were capitalizing on her for many years, her whole family-wise, and all the people that are involved in her brand. That's capitalism. That's exploiting somebody else for their personal gain. And then communism is like, oh, give away your whole body, mind, and spirit. So then that's actually the right wing. That's the Christians giving away to everybody. Oh yeah, let me go save you. Let me go save you. They're saving everybody in their community. That's communism. But then he's like, well, the Christian right, they're all about capitalism. Not necessarily. That's the irony of it all. Is that when you're all about everybody else, saving animals, saving children, saving this, saving that, but ignoring yourself, ignoring even your own family, but you're saving everybody else, that's communism. That's straight up fucking communism. That's destruction. Fucking destruction. And so, yeah, so even those in the remedies, the health and wellness world, communism and capitalism. But it's not really it's an extreme on either end, because you're trying to save people through all of your deadly remedies. Okay, so then you're capitalizing on somebody's death process. And you're about giving away your energy, so you're also destroying yourself at the same time. And so we have people in the health and wellness world that are both extremely communistic and capitalistic, giving away their energy and capitalizing on it. And yeah. And so then you have like the collective versus the individual. The collective is just the collective, the group, the people in your community. Then you as an individual have to balance out how much can you give to people in your community without destroying yourself. And I would not even apply the word capitalist or communist to individual versus collectivism. Capitalism, communism is an economical term based on a disposable society who they must pull out resources from and then also have them self-destruct at some point. When you are teaching men that they should physically attack things that challenge their perception and teaching women to psychologically fuck with each other if they can't physically go and attack somebody, then they psychologically attack each other and use the love, the hate, the sex, the drugs, and their position in the stories that are out there from ancient years ago, and they're reenacting the different mythological creatures, and then they become the goddesses and the gods of our time, who then will give you the antibiotics, give you all the herbs and the extracts and the remedies and the surgeries, and cast these spells on you. And that's pretty fucking strategic of the New World Order, but that's how you do it if you don't want to go back to World War II. Is you get people to destroy each other, and you use their friends and family to do it, and you cause the weaponization of males and females against each other, and also develop offspring as a byproduct for then science to do whatever they want to do with it. That's pretty crazy, but that's what's going on. And it's not horrible because you have a chance to redirect if you understand that that's what's going on. If you think that I'm bullshit and you're resisting me, then you'll stay stuck in giving your friends and family all the concoctions, all the energy healing bullshit, and you'll play those games of I'm going to give you everything and give you all my remedies and herbs and extracts and stuff and give away your life force to other people as you're taking them down with all those things and the diets and the detoxes. And so it's 2 for the price of 1. I'll come back to it, John. Don't worry about it. Okay, 2 for the price of 1. All right. So yeah, that's what's going on right now. And so, I tell people, avoid inviting me to mass meditations or prayer circles. I'm not interested. I invoke the power within me using my immediate environment, and it has served me well so far. Every single time I got rid of a major influence, I have shot up to another level. Every single time I challenged even my own belief system at that point in time and switched directions, I have evolved that exponentially. The one example was changing from the pink salt to the white salt. That I was able to even explain why the white salt. And still was able to then show people why I changed it and justified it. And then not doing J juice at all, I can still justify that. I can still explain why I don't do J juice anymore. And it would still work in physics and relative to my intention. And so every single time I evolve, it's because I chose to evolve. It wasn't somebody out there that forced me to evolve. It wasn't some prayer circle or some meditation yoga bullshit. It was the fact that I recognized that I couldn't stay stuck in one place. I couldn't just stay stuck in fucking pink salt and J juice. I couldn't stay stuck in the shit from way back in 2018. I kept evolving, and there are people on my Facebook that have not evolved from 2018. They're still stuck there. And that's fine. That's creationist. Evolutionists will keep trying on things and taking off the things. Trying on things, take it off. Trying on, take it off until they evolve to whatever it is that they want as their end result. What's the end result? It's all relative to your intention. It's different for everybody. And so I do not give away my power, any more power than I can take responsibility for. Okay? So I'm not giving away all this power out there and then be so in deficit and decrepit and aged. Because then what's the point? Why would you die for your friends and your family and your kids? Why not live for them? But no, people want to die for everybody. They want to be all like the self-sacrificing Mother Teresa. So they come off as a goddamn hero. Okay. I guess we can erect a statue that'll be torn down later when the system changes. You really want to be, remembered legendary as a statue? Or as some picture on Facebook that everyone's going to go to be like, oh, I miss you. I miss her. I miss him. I do not give away any more power than I can take responsibility for. When I start thanking things, all the things I can't see. People are like, oh, I think this, I think that. To people that don't even exist. Or that existed at one point. But now they're just wind. Now they're just something that someone has kept alive through their mouth and their words. So it's like pure communism. Somebody else is always lifting you up, even a dead person or their spirit. And you're always responsible for somebody else. That's religion. That's pure communism. That's also exploiting somebody else when you're capitalizing on somebody else's situation all the time. And that's what homeopathics, allopathics, surgeons, doctors, nurses, herbalists, even the drug dealers out there, okay, whatever they are, they're always capitalizing on somebody else's situation all the time. And they can't wait to insert themselves. And you say, oh, I'm in pain. Oh, I have something for you. Oh, I have anxiety. Oh, I have something for you. Oh, God, I'm so at my wit's end. I don't know what to do. I have someone I can recommend for you. You see, what my book is, when someone wrote to me and said something about how the J juice is like this master cleanse, and I'm like, oh, gosh. When I wrote back, It was so devoid of emotion. But when I wrote back, I said, I do not recommend detoxes. I don't recommend anything like that. You can find my book on Amazon or on juliejuice.com. And I don't even do the J juice anymore, and I salt my food and I eat meat, milk and cream, and also other foods. But I said mostly I have milk and cream. I salt my food, I don't do J juice anymore, and I don't recommend detoxes. And it was no emotion. It was no like, oh, thanks for, I said thanks for reaching out. But I was not laying on anything. Like, I wasn't trying to sell this. The ebook's like $5, so this is not totally expensive. Okay? I mean, I'm not giving the answer. I'm just saying this is what I'm doing. I don't recommend detoxes, and I don't use J juice anymore, and I salt my food, and I predominantly like the cream and the milk. That was it. That was cut and dry. I didn't say you had to feel pain. I didn't say anything of the nature. But my book goes into more explanation of what I do, if she wanted to know even more so, because it's more than just those 4 sentences that I wrote to her. But I ain't trying to sell shit. Literally, I'm not trying to be your savior. I'm not trying to be your Satan. If you want to call me your savior and your Satan, that's on you. That's your religious, communistic, capitalistic bullshit that I ain't going to be part of. Okay? And so a mixture of both communism and capitalism is a well-rounded environment, because you still live in a community and you still have to make money, because you can't grow everything that you need. You need to have somebody else put together a complex form of food so you can feed your complex body. But I'm not going into, but pure communism and pure capitalism within politics, religion, and science, because they become very pure on either end. No. And again, that's to what degree, to what level are you willing to examine how you exhibit communism and capitalism in your world? And I will tell you, everybody in the religious world, in the politics world, in the science world, in the health and wellness, homeopathic, naturopathic, allopathic, are both communistic and capitalism on either end. Very, very aggressively so. Because if it's not then selling the tinctures and the herbal remedies, then it's all about social capital, collecting people and followers, and then selling something. Long story short, this is in all politics, religions who pray to somebody, I don't care who it is, and all scientific dogmas who don't question corporate authority. Pure communists never take responsibility. Pure capitalists take everyone's responsibility and capitalize on it. Why don't you identify what you are, and you'll be surprised that what you are resisting is exactly who you are. Okay? When you're blaming the vaccines on whatever or everything, you're capitalizing on somebody else's situation because you have the solution, and you'll sell it to everyone and their mother. When you're blaming your illness on people who don't have the V, you're capitalizing on somebody else's situation because you have a solution, and you're willing to sell it to everyone and their mother. Okay. Am I selling something? How do you fucking sell pain and pulling your shit out of your ass? You don't sell that shit. You come upon that like, okay, that's something that's not taking away someone's pain, and it's not selling them a remedy. You're going to have to be the one to face your own demons, pull the shit out of your ass if you can, cut your nails, and eat food. And bring on the fucking pain. Bring on the life. Bring on the diversity. Bring on the intelligence. That's something you can't fucking sell to people who are actively taking away intelligence, taking away life, and taking away pain. And those are the communists and the capitalists out there. Taking away everyone's pain, everyone's life, and everyone's intelligence. And it's obvious, because look at people. They are dropping kids left and right, and they are aging out and screaming that's everyone else's fault but themselves on the way out the door. And some of you fit that description like all to hell, but you'll never admit it because you're saving everyone. Okay, Mother Teresa. You gotta love politics. Once you release the demons, it becomes so transparent. Remember, you must have life. You must understand balance. If you're getting fertilized from the skies, you must balance it with food and milk, not with more fertilization, because the life within you will destroy you from over-fertilization and particle acceleration. Okay, so those are those that have the 50 long tapeworms in their body because they're afraid to release the demons. And if they're using so much salt and water, then they're going to trap those demons inside. Even using so much J juice, you'll trap those tapeworms inside of you because they'll become resistant. They'll become cured, and then they will double and triple in size and growth when you start feeding yourself. Okay? And so all remedies in the health and wellness industry is excessive amount of fertilization. The holistic world over-fertilizes you and then sells you a fucking flesh. Yeah, that's why the homeopathic and the holistic professionals make a shit ton of money. They are the ultimate capitalists in our society. But they wouldn't call themselves that because it's all about saving people, taking away their pain, intelligence, and the life. All right? Ooh, I don't write that down. It's a trifecta of holistic world. Pain, intelligence, and life. And so I'm the J world. I'm adding pain, intelligence, and life. The holistic allopathic and the energy healing people are taking away pain, intelligence, and life. That's the difference between you and I. And you're selling everybody everything under the fucking sun to do that. And I'm not selling you shit. I'm selling you $5 of an idea. I'm selling you an idea. That's it. I'm selling you a potential idea that most likely most people will not do because they are so far gone. And they're making too much money off their friends and family to even think about changing. It's too fucking lucrative to sell death to people. It's easier to sell death to people than to sell life to people. And once they realize that, it's not going to matter to them because they won't change. The money's too fucking good. All right. So they exacerbate the problem and give you another fucked up solution. And then you still believe you should die someday. So then what was it all for? All right. You just line the pockets of corporate America and that family for a minute until that family basically disappears. Because those kids will then also be hopped up on all those antibiotics meant to take away their pain, their life, and their intelligence. And they won't have what it takes in this highly dynamic environment. That's what these kids are facing. And so agriculturally speaking, this is how you release overfertilization. But do not do this to your body. You have holes. You need to learn how to use them. How do you recover from overfertilizing? The best way to solve the problem of overfertilizing is to leach excess nutrients from the soil by using watering to slowly flush out the pot. Your pot will need drainage holes for this. To leach the soil, put your plant in a sink, tub, or outside where it can drain and give it a nice long watering. See, they're trying to tell you on some level, you could be over-fertilized. Too many micronutrients. Excess nutrients. Again, that's morbidly obese, that's obese. But also being underweight. Because you're fertilizing the things that are taking away your substance. And so main takeaway, all of your detoxes and herbs, heavy metals and detoxes are fertilizing all the life in your body, making them stronger against you. While the chemtrails are fertilizing earth, making the biodiversity stronger, if you as an intelligent intellectual know how to evolve and release without destroying yourself. So you can become stronger with all this nitrous oxide. You can become stronger with all these chemtrails. You can become stronger with all this climate change. But if you keep fertilizing your body with the antibiotics and the detoxes and the herbal remedies and the surgeries, then you are making the life inside of you stronger to then cannibalize you from the inside. Thus making the rest of society stronger because you're not here taking up resources. You're not here. So then what you're doing, selling all your concoctions to your friends and family, is actually helping the earth because you're taking people out left and right. And it's sanctioned by the FDA because it's FDA approved. It's relatively not dangerous. But when you're using it with the intention to take away pain, intelligence, and life, that's a slow kill, and then it will accelerate in a changing environment. So actually, the system has given people licenses. Of course, that's what the licenses are for, right? Is the license to destroy without destroying automatically right off the bat. That's what these holistic professionals have been a license for. That's what the allopathic professionals have a license for. That's what all these herbalists that are selling you tinctures that are FDA approved selling you these things because they know your intention is to take away pain, intelligence, and life until you don't fucking exist anymore. Chew on that. So now you see how that shit works. The chemtrails are not the problem, laugh out loud. You are. The issue is you're in your own world from your lack of evolution, and in the meantime, you're using the medical holistic system, chemtrail in your own body, and it will have the opposite effect because you have no idea how physics work. And you refuse to understand chemistry because it's too hard, it's too complicated. It's easier just to give you a pill and say, oh yeah, here, sell this to somebody. Take away their pain, their life, and their intelligence. And they'll love you for it. They'll worship you. They'll worship the ground you fucking walk on. Oh, people do. Look at their following. All the holistic professionals, all the activists who are about wanting to change everyone but themselves. And they're selling you all the different concoctions, making it seem like it's big pharma that's the demon, when in reality it's them using even the food against their own body, causing the food allergies. And then you give a path to biotech or the doctors to go and reintroduce those antigens back to the body so that person can get over that food allergy that was developed from people using food as medicine. See, you're part of a whole capitalistic pyramid, whole capitalistic loop with communism, sprinkled with communism. And then you're a savior. You're a fucking savior. So I welcome the chemtrails, the climate change, and depopulation. Now I get it. Because I'm telling you, when I introduced evolution, I was so fucking attacked by all the mommy and me groups, all the crunchy mamas, all the mainstreamers, and people who don't want to evolve, who are creationists, literal creationists. They will attack anything evolutionary. And you're seeing it. You're seeing it when people are taking everything to stop the pain. And people capitalizing on it. Like watching Gollum or Smeagol, Gollum Smeagol. I want to be stronger and more adaptable and resilient and definitely more fucking intelligent. Get stronger, people, and you have a choice. And then I said, oh yeah, I said this. Parasites are not the enemy. If your objective is to demonize parasites, worms, and other microbes, get the fuck out of the J world. You misunderstood my book, and again, looking to blame something. I am not advocating anyone demonize worms at all. They get big because your immune system is atrophied from all the remedies, and of course, you're not releasing. And if you are releasing, you're forcing your body to release to then cause the things to stay inside and release then your substance. When you're cured, you trap that life in your body, and that is life, and that life becomes infection. And when you have so many colonies of diversity in your body, the release retention process is a painful process. And then the holistic system scares you into using the remedies to attack your central processing unit, thus sustaining the colonies in the body and attacking them with detoxes and making the colonies stronger and bigger and more destructive. And so you are 69 trillion parasitic microbes who feed off the system of your community, which is everyone in your community. Control your own colonies without attacking them or starving them. Feed them and release them in a respectful way that is not chemical attacks to their colonies. I'm serious. The holistic system has brainwashed many, 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 many people against their own bodies and children's bodies. Everything serves a purpose. And why tapeworms get so big in people is because that person hates to feel pain or release, and so they stop their body from pooping and feeling pain. And so the colonies in their body, which keep them alive, become gigantic. And so infection is poor management of the body over many, many years of using the medical holistic system, and demonizing foods was all part of the depopulation agenda via holistic yoga, meditating, religious friends. If I have to change the way I do things and rest and feed more, I have no issue with evolution or change. If you do have an issue with change, you won't survive. And you can fucking bank on that. And so nitrous oxide. Most fertilizers that are commonly used in agriculture contain the 3 basic plant nutrients: nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium. Some fertilizers also contain certain micronutrients such as zinc and other metals that are necessary for plant growth. And so, when I see people are like, I'm against the GMO because we're putting in this, and this, right? and they're like using organic seeds, right? Organic seeds, and then they're getting fertilized from the chemtrails. I'm like, are you fucking kidding me? Your goddamn organic garden is getting fertilized by the chemtrails. What the fuck? And that's why I said I can't even stop laughing, and I have to pee. Hold on. My hubby's sleeping, so I gotta be quiet, but not really, but yeah. So anyways, so yeah, that's why everything was orange over there in New York, because the nitrous oxide was pretty aggressive. And so you have to learn how to release those demons. And if it means you have to take a nap, eat a bunch of food, and pull out that shit, you do that. Because you can be full of heavy metals, and taking detoxes using heavy metals to release heavy metals is counterproductive. And it will make the colonies in your body larger and larger and larger. And then you can't come back from that. People don't, because they don't have what it takes to deal with the release. They want more and more intelligence taken away from them. And so I'm going to read this. Oh yeah. The theory of relativity. So everything is relative. So this is what I just want to say this. Everything is relative. This is about immortality. When you do the J world and you finally get to a point when you stop aging out and you're just fluctuating, but you stop aging, and you release all those demons, and you're highly intelligent because you can take on information and release information, take on and learn new concepts and learn how to evolve. All right, everything is relative. People say time travel is possible because of something out there, like a glitch or some space-time continuum. More brainwashing you away from releasing the demons that age you. You won't age a day if you release the demons. In physics, space-time is a mathematical model that combines the 3 dimensions of space and 1 dimension of time in a single 4-dimensional manifold. See, I haven't figured out how to picture that in my head. But space-time diagrams can be used to visualize relativistic effects, such as why different observers perceive differently where and when events occur. Okay? So when you're stationary, you watch the past and the future go into the past. You're not traveling in time, you're just watching time travel. And everything is relative to this time-space continuum within the single stationary person observing their external time-space continuum perspective within a controlled environment, like watching the gears on the clock. Okay, so when you're seeing pictures of someone that looks like Keanu Reeves from 1885, or seeing pictures of someone that looks like Nicolas Cage from 1800s, yeah, our DNA has been reproduced and developed and reproduced and died and reproduced over and over again. That's why there's so many doppelgangers in the world, because the DNA has been used over and over again with different offshoots of each other. That's why people in Hollywood look relatively the same, because they're using relatively this very similar DNA. And 1885 wasn't that long ago. Okay, so I would imagine that we're going to see a lot of doppelgangers from way back then. Would you call them time travelers? No, you just call the DNA being recycled again. Everything gets recycled. The 80s get recycled. This El Nino that's happening, it's going to get recycled, but this El Nino might be the worse than the one that was happening in 82, 83. That's why I posted that article about the El Nino effects back in 82, 83, because then it was the worst in that century. So can you imagine what's going to be like this next year, or this year or next year? This year and next year? How long will El Nino be? They said 82, 83. That could be 2 years of fucking destruction. So buckle up, bitches. We're in for some shit. figure out where you are, figure out something. But right now we're in the calm before the storm. And I don't know. But yeah. So anyways, realize what's going on. Some of you you're too far gone. Others of you are not. But remember, the J world, we're not selling you anything to take away your pain or take away your intelligence or your life. The J world, like my book and what my platform is to give you back your life that your friends and your family keep taking away from you, bit by bit, day by day. And then the environment accelerates it. All right, bye.